And good evening, everyone. Welcome to a very special summertime edition of Cat and Her Friends, play decayed Russian aristocrats, otherwise known as Good Society. We've got a bunch of changes for this one because rather than doing Tolstoy like the last several that have appeared on my channel with its 5-10 subscribers, this one's going to be based on the works of Anton Chekhov. We're going to aim at the short stories, but we're probably going to hit the plays along the way. So if you don't know Chekhov, go read some Chekhov. It's going to be highly rewarding. I've made a bunch of changes for this thing. We will go into them as they come up in play. I've had a long debrief with my esteemed cast. So I think right now the first thing to do is to start introducing them because they are all amazing. And if you've been a fan of these before, I think you'll agree. So first up, someone I am now fortunate enough to play with more than I have in the past. But it's still always a pleasure, especially in Russia. Please let's welcome Richard, who is playing Anatoly Ruslanovich Sidorov.
Hi, I'm Richard. I am playing Tolya, and Tolya is a relatively young playwright, about 28, former actor, former novelist. He's tried lots and lots of things, and he is constantly frustrated by his belief in his own talent, but a lack of popular success and regard. And Tolya is very much torn between vision and acclaim, or sort of his dramatic poles. And I'm super glad to be here.
We're super glad to have you. And we're so glad to put this cast back together. You maybe noticed that one of our crew is missing tonight. Serafina fortunately had a bad occurrence of life outside of RPGs. But we hope to welcome her in next week because Richard will not be here for that one. So we'll be, we'll just have to muddle our way through without him and welcome the fantastic presence of Serafina. So let's go next to the heart and beating soul of the Kingsport Drama Society, our own Daryl, who's playing, what is your full name and patronymic here? Timothy Petrovich Yashvin.
Hello. I'm Daryl. My pronouns are he, him, and I am playing Timosha, whose pronouns are also he, him. So Timosha is the provocateur with an ill-reputed reputation, and he's 24, and he came back from Paris last year, back to Moscow, and is a part of a radical new revolutionary abstract art movement that is sweeping the city. So he is a polarizing voice in the art scene. No one is indifferent to his work or his presence. His youthful appearance belies an obsessively observant nature. Though little is known publicly about his background, he comes from an overbearing family that he no longer speaks to. He owes that chance at success to our friend who will make an appearance next time, but have I really repaid that debt? I don't know. We'll find out. Also, I have this seeming rivalry with Tolya, who sees me as a rival, but is that really how I see the relationship? Who knows? We'll find out.
I mean, you're a pretty shady bitch, so I think the answer is no to both of those questions. But again, I could be wrong. Maybe Timofey is actually going to be, the snowy character that you keep meaning to play. I mean, look, I'll tell you this way. The last 2 times you set out to play a nice, innocent, caring character who became a Machiavellian nightmare. So maybe aiming at Machiavellian nightmare, you're going to hit Natasha Rostova. Speaking of Natasha Rostova, our good friend Leandro is the other half of the Kingsport Drama Society, someone I am always eager and happy to play with, someone who makes enormous sacrifices to be here by staying up so damn early at their time. But Leandro is playing Alina Grigorievna Kovalyova.
Yeah, well, sacrifice is always well worth it, given who I get to play with in these. Well, that's incredibly dark and cold outside. So let's just move on. So I'm playing the aforementioned Alina Kovalyova. She her pronouns. She is a sharp, somewhat dour woman with plenty to say, but little need to say what she wants. She kind of like works at the Kovalyov Theater, which is technically owned by her brother, but in practice run by her. She's one who used to have dreams of being anything other than working at this theater, I suppose, or at least nice old dreams, but she's long buried them, having committed to forever having to prop her family up because her brother is, bless him, he's not a businessman. And so the theater is kind of like dwindled in his hands, and she's just there to like prop it up. Although, perchance there is the unexpected spark of bromance that could lift her spirits. Who knows? Who knows? It could happen. A lot of things could happen. I was gonna say she is in this triangle of sorts, but we need to meet the third member of that triangle. Because I actually, like, while preparing for this intro, I mixed up who was in love and who didn't know who was in love. So I think Kat would like dispel all the confusion with their character.
That's a segue. Certainly, we don't expect to see Alina basically sacrifice her life on an altar of martyrdom. Yeah. But we expect Leandro to. So, hi, I'm Kat. I had the idea to do this about 2 years ago, i.e. try and run Russian literature with Good Society, because I am an enormous fan of at least some parts of Russian literature. But I gotta say, I've read a lot more Dostoevsky this year. He's finally starting to grow on me. Anyway, for tonight's little event, I'm playing Varya Pavlovna Morozova. She is a young actress, intelligent, headstrong, eager. So far, stardom has eluded her in her time at the Kovalyov troupe, but she hopes to perhaps remedy that, especially since, there's a playwright moving in. So, hey, this is going to be fun. Varya is enchanted by Alina for some reason. I'm sure we're going to find out why. And is in a rivalry with the prima donna of the company, Yelizaveta Kirilovna Oblonskaya, who we'll get a chance to meet. Spoiler alert, Daryl plays her. So, the rivalry is real. But in the meantime, so there's a bunch of changes that I made in the game. None of them are going to impact the viewing experience too much, but the main ones are, at least for right now, we've done a thing called Stage Presence, which is not a completely shameless ripoff from Primetime Adventures. It's a mostly shameless ripoff from Primetime Adventures. The idea is that we're going to have a bunch of different resolve tokens that are going to be fixed to the session that we play in and won't carry over. So that's a little bit of a change from Standard Good Society. Obviously, I have changed around the roles. For example, my character is the ingenue. Leandro's is the martyr. Daryl's is the provocateur. I'm not saying I had them in mind when I wrote this, but I'm not saying that wasn't also possibly the case. In the meantime, we get to talk finally about our first novel chapter. So a couple of things present themselves. One idea is it the case that Tolya is going to be is the Kovalyov theater troupe going to present one of Tolya's plays?
I do believe I am sort of in residence.
Is this a new thing?
This is a very new thing.
Well, then I think either we could have a party welcoming you, or we could do a bunch of visitations where people run in and run into each other at the theater. Whichever one sounds a little more interesting to folks.
I like the idea of a party.
I think starting with a party is never a bad thing.
It would definitely give an excuse for Timofey to be showing up at this. Okay, that sounds about right. Where do you think we're having this?
Is this just sort of like a backstage?
Oh, okay. So is it like it's mostly a cast thing, or?
I think it's mostly the perhaps we've had the big party, and this is the party for all the people who know people, rather than the people who give money to people.
So maybe at a restaurant nearby that's frequented by bohemians and actors.
Thank God, yes.
Yes. I mean, after all, there are a lot of actors who are just trying to work their way up to be as respectable as bohemians. Hello. Hi, how are you? That sounds fantastic to me. So maybe there's like a big long table set up, lots of vodka and, lots of little perushki and blintzes and lots of little appetizers and stuff. Tea, there's a samovar that the waiters keep running back and forth to. So probably people aren't dressed in their finest, but they're, dressed in their like better than average street clothes, maybe, because we are potentially meeting with the public. And
Are people
our
like in
admirers.
various states of like I have previously been to a nice reception and now I'm taking off those clothes, but in public, sort of like sleeves are rolled up and ties and collars are askew.
There's probably a bunch of bohemians, including, that big famous name on the Moscow art scene, our good friend Timosha.
Is he coming? No one told me he was coming.
I've heard that he might stop in. Is that?
Damn it.
All right. So where shall we focus our camera on first? Hey, and Alina, you've got the stage presence this episode, so you can you call the tune, and the fiddler will play.
Yeah. Why don't we set the general state, set the scene for the general state of this theater with maybe Alina and her dashing brother. I think maybe if that's okay with you, Daryl.
Down for it.
Yeah. I think maybe the camera like starts with whatever the hell Victor's up to. And Alina's gonna find him. What is he doing in this restaurant, do you think?
So I like the idea that we're at the long table and like the opening like shot, as it were, is just like, a toast to our new playwright. And then I just go on effusively about, our new Tolya, who has come to revolutionize the way that we play at the Kovalyov Playhouse. And I think that you're sitting next to me and like probably like getting a little bit splashed with vodka because I've obviously had a little too much, but it's a celebration, dear sister. So lighten up and put on a smile.
She does. I think she will just like raise a glass. I think she has like she's drinking red. And we'll probably down the glass because she did get splashed, and she will down like half the wine glass, and we'll just kind of like pull you down as in a gentle but firm manner. And it's just all right, Victor. That's quite enough. I'm sure. Mr. Sidorov there wouldn't want too much attention on him.
On the contrary, sister mine, we are theater people. I think that Tolya would appreciate all of the attention that we can bring him. After all, it is his plays that we shall be producing.
Victor, I am no longer an actor. I am merely a vehicle to make these wonderful people look good. But so many of them look fabulous already.
Oh, but dear Tolya, they can only truly breathe life into the stories of someone who has experienced life. And truly, you, sir, have experienced life just like the rest of us. And that is to be celebrated.
So many of them, I'm sure, have so much to teach me. Alina has always looked like I don't know, the crafty sort, one who knows more than she lets on.
Well, dear sir, if you require help in coming up with tragedies for your plots, I think that you should definitely talk to her. My
I
dear
am not
sister
interested
here,
in comedy or tragedy. I'm interested in spectacle.
Would you say then, Mr. Sidorov, that you're a chronicler of life in all its facets?
I am a chronicler of the life people should be living.
Hear, hear.
Well, I can see why you and my brother would get along so well. He is an optimist of sorts as well.
Your brother is a generous person.
Oh, you're
Yes,
too
he's-
kind.
Yes, I do believe you are a tad too kind. And she like drinks just a bit more.
So, please, have my sister, hold my sister in high esteem. It is through her good graces that the theater turns on a dime as it does. If only she could see the greatness that we will soon bring to the stage.
Can
Do
I
not
pay a
think
resolve
I have-
token?
Yeah,
go
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, can I pay a resolve token? Because I've got 3 of them tonight. For Victor to kind of like let out without meaning that it was Alina who insisted on hiring Tolya.
Yes, yeah. And I think that, oh my god, so tokens don't go to side characters, so I think you just spend it. Is that right?
No, it absolutely goes to side characters. Like, side characters have their own tokens.
Oh my god, suddenly there's so many more tokens than I thought there was. Yeah, so I will take that. And then Victor basically says that, like, and in fact turns to Tolya and says, it was, after all, her insistence that we have brought you into our repertory, sir. I would not have even seen your manuscripts were it not for her pointed efforts to make me sit down and read them. After all, I am far too busy usually to parse through such dense paperwork. And then he starts to realize that he's rambling and has probably said something not great.
Victor, you don't have to explain. It is a rare artistic director, looking at Alina when I say that, who sees on the page the color, the sound, the energy that one hopes for when one work is brought to life. It is I owe both of you so very much for taking a risk on something that surely so much of the press might consider cheap and tawdry.
I will add that, like, when Victor kept rambling too much, Alina like choked on what she was in the middle of drinking, and she just started choking on it a bit. So while you're while Tolya was saying that, Alina was like trying to recover a bit of her dignity. I don't know if you want to change what you said there, but
No,
I think
Victor,
Alina got a bit of wine on her dress for sure, and she's kind of like patting herself.
I very, very subtly dip a napkin in some water and hand it to you gently under the table.
I think it takes a momentous amount of will to keep her face like straightforward, but she will take it. And the tiniest kind of nod towards your direction. Well, I dare say, Mr. Sidorov, the elocution in your writing comes out in your person.
Thank you. I fear my writing sometimes has more energy than I am able to put together in person, but such kind employers.
On that note, the energy note, Varya Petrovna comes stalking up, sticks out her hand in a very masculine way to you, Tolya. Varya Petrovna, I'm very pleased to meet you. Anatoly Ruslanovich.
I think I look at you sort of wide-eyed and just like, surely you are one of the dancers. The actors, performers, I'm sorry that we have not met before.
I regret to inform you that while I'll take that as a compliment upon my figure, I, sir, am indeed one of the actors of this company.
You must forgive me. And what was the last name you used when you introduced yourself? Sorry.
Oh, I didn't. I just used Varvara Pavlovna, my first
Pavlovna.
name.
You must forgive me, Varvara Pavlovna. I see everyone who puts themselves forward in front of an audience as sharing a deep spiritual bond.
It's quite all right.
The singers, the actors, the dancers, they're unique skills. But in the audience's mind, you are one human celebration.
I think without getting needlessly German, I can say that I find the concept of Gesamtkunstwerk to be one that's valuable for us to ponder in our artistic endeavors. Anatoly Ruslanovich, is it your intention to put on An Orchard in the Snow this season?
I would love it if Victor swoops in and says, "Why, of course, dear Varya. That is exactly what we will be producing. I cannot wait to see the new pages that our dear Tolya has been working on."
I would like to speak to him about certain situations in the second act, which I think could be improved. Through my experience of doing the monologues on the stage, I think you'll find that there's certain changes in the diction that you will find most valuable to the performers and produce a more naturalistic approach to the scene. If you don't mind, if you do not feel that I'm being too direct, Anatoly Ruslanovich.
Please call me Tolya. Varvara Pavlovna, I find it particularly energizing to see the monologues delivered on the stage. And I know that we have not made any commitments to casting, but as we work through the rewriting, I would love to see someone with your presence.
Well,
standing there.
Obviously, Viktor Grigorievich will have the final call on all the saying, won't you, Viktor Grigorievich?
Victor.
As is the custom of our fine troupe, we will host open auditions. As our dear Varya knows, no role is promised to any one person.
I trust I can borrow Varya, though, just for a read-through.
I would be
an initial reading. It would be of great value to me.
I would be very honored if you would allow me to read some pages from Olga.
And then I set very gently my hand on Victor's arm. Victor, please. No commitments. Merely a read-through.
I'm sure that a read-through shall certainly help the production before we get our auditions underway.
It's very important because I've not done anything close to a final manuscript of this, and a read-through, just hearing a voice other than mine say the words aloud, could ensure it's finished on time.
Well, while I know that you haven't quite finished it, I must confess that I did in fact see the production of Act 2 you did with the student company in Petersburg last summer.
Varya, may I? I am being presumptuous.
No, please feel free. You'll find that we are far more informal in this tiny little theater. And she does...
Varvara Pavlovna, I did not know you had been to Petersburg so recently.
I was visiting my brother, who was in Petersburg at the time. He was on his way back from the from the army.
When one struggles as we young artists often do for the esteem of I have not taken my hand off Victor's arm, of those who can provide us with opportunity. Sometimes presenting our work before a student company or for a student company or with a student company can be so invigorating. But you have so little real control over the production, to bringing everything to life in
Well, yes, that is a common problem with our life on the stage. To put on a play is an intensely collaborative process, and it's only
I'm afraid students always think everything is psychological.
Of course. And that is why we should bring as many of the company in as we can to do this. As you have probably known, although she could not join us tonight, our dear Yelizaveta, who has many years of experience on the stage, would also probably have much to shed in this particular conversation. Wouldn't she, Alina?
I think Alina has taken the opportunity to use the napkin that Tolya passed her, and she says, "My brother has the right of it. This theater troupe we found over the years is a collaboration first and foremost. I sympathize with your struggles, Mr. Sidorov. But one finds that surely a blossom of interpretation can be found with as many people as possible. Although I've always long appreciated Miss Morozova's enthusiasm."
Viktor Grigorievich, would you join me outside for a smoke?
Of
And
course.
perhaps I can bore you with details of the writing process. Then, and I think what I've noticed is that, Kat, is it fair to say that Varvara has been eyeing Alina?
a little bit. Okay, yeah. So I'll grab Alina then while you guys go outside. I think as soon as Tolya and
Yeah, I think as soon as you say that, I'm like, oh, it's fantastic you'll join me for a cigarette because I am out of cigarettes.
And Victor, like, almost like would not begrudgingly to show it, but like begrudgingly to him, his sister would definitely pick up on it. Pulls out his cigarette case, which is a little bit emptier than usual, but it says, "Of course," and like pops it open, and there's like maybe it's like half full.
Nice. All right.
So like as soon as like they walk off, I think like Alina will like just kind of like automatically like almost like hand Varya a drink.
Oh, Varya is already taking out she looks around real quick, takes out a cigarette case, and offers you a cigarette. Scandalous.
Alina will take it. Not very little phases her. It's kind of no problem.
I've got my folder out and everything, so I'm like, lighting up. Alina. Alia. And I'm very obviously using the informal version of you with you. You must help me get the part of Olga in this play. The play is fine. It has a lot of structural issues in Act 3, and I'm sure with some help Tolya will resolve those. But Yelizaveta is not right for Olga. Let her play Daria. She'll be fine for that. It's an older part. She's more mature. She should be able to handle it. Alina, Olga is me. I can play this part.
I think like Alina will like take a puff and kind of like high and just kind of like take a torturously long time thinking about this. Varya, I always appreciate your enthusiasm. You're always bursting with ideas. You seem to know exactly it is what you always want to do, and that's commendable, honestly. Absolutely commendable. And as always, you make a strong case. I suppose, have you given much thought to what... Sorry, I'm getting used to these names. What Elizaveta would think if she were to know, well, I guess she already knows that. She already knows this is what you get up to.
I think Elizaveta, our dear Liza, will do very little to study for this part. She'll do as she always does, coast by on her looks and her ability to memorize the pages the day before. If you want to turn this company around, then I think you'll want to put somebody with the passion to play this part in a play that, for all its issues, is good, Alina. This is better than anything we've put on lately. Even with that disaster of a third act, it's nothing that can't be straightened out.
I suppose you're looking forward to papering over these holes in the third act with your raw talent.
I have some notes. I would be happy to work with Anatoly Ruslanovich about. It strikes me that he is a clever playwright, but as he has not been fortunate enough to have enough of his plays produced, he is somewhat unsure of the mechanics of actually getting one of these on the stage. I can help him with that.
This is a fair amount of effort for this one production. Now, I know you put so much energy to everything we do, but Varya, I'm a bit worried that you might just burn yourself out in so quickly a time. Is this play worth it to you?
She grabs your hands with intensity. Alina, the world is changing. My grandfather was the serf on an estate. Today, I am a perfectly acceptable young lady of society in an honorable profession, at least one I think is honorable. Alina, what are we doing if not pursuing art? Yes, obviously, the theater needs to make more money. We all know this. We've all made sacrifices for this. At least I have, and the other actors and the dancers have. Elizaveta doesn't want to make any sacrifices. She's just hoping that some other theater company will finally see her and snatch her up. But I want to stay here. I want to be here with you, Alina. I want this to work.
Alina will pick up on that. Yeah, go hard in episode 1, yes. I think Alina's like, the two of us are like looking into each other's eyes at this point, probably. I think Alina's like struck by your convictions. Varya, if nothing else, Varya, I do want to say that I'm glad you're in this theater. I'm not sure what we would do without you. I'll talk to Victor.
Thank you, Alina. You know, you're a good friend. We should be better friends, you and I. You're so lonely. You spend all your time in the office. The life of the theater falls around you, and it's like a river passing around a rock in the stream. Alina, don't let yourself be covered with moss.
Varya, well, um, thank you for the concern, but I found that for a theater, even one such as ours, to be able to let artists like you and Tolya and everyone else, even Liza, for them to be able to do what they want, there has to be those who are willing to be covered in moss.
Oh, I don't know about that. Look, remember what I said just a minute ago about life is changing? Well, that everything can change now. We're almost at the start of a new century. Look where Russia is now compared to where it was in our grandfather's time, our great grandfather's time. I mean, the difference between now and the patriotic war of 12 is it's immense. It's as long as the distance from Moscow to the Niemen River. Alina, when we're on that stage and we do the right play, what we do is we take a bit of life and we make it comprehensible, not so much bounded, but as like a diorama or something like that sort, a way for us to see our problems more clearly because they're presented on a stage in a place where everyone can see the lines clearly. And even and I mean that's the thing I like about Anatoly Ruslanovich's work. It's full of circumlocution and misdirection. It's so much like life, but because we stand outside it, we can see all the ways that the characters are stymied in their own life, and it allows us to reflect on ours. Don't be a character in a play like that, Alina. You can be more than this.
I think Alina, like, probably still holding hands actually, now that I think about it. I think like Alina like will like, I don't know what the gesture is. She did something with those hands there. And I think she'll just say like, I'm really curious, Varya, why how is anyone in this theater, why concern yourself with me? You already burden yourself with so much. What you say, what you do, it's exhilarating, isn't it? It's a fiery kind of feeling, isn't it?
You were kind to me when I arrived, 18 years old from a province, you could, with a bad accent and no ability to find the blocking of any scene, and you were kind to me. Should I want to be kind to you. Well, maybe we should go for a picnic this weekend. We could invite yes, we could invite Timofey Petrovich. You know him, right? The artist?
Yes, I know him. We've run into some circles. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe the office has been clouding my thoughts lately. I'll go on one condition. That bad accent of yours, it's quite charming. No need to consider it bad. And And honestly, even at 18, your blocking was better than I've seen. I think like she reaches for like she just reaches and just grabs like a wine glass and she says, "The things I've seen, Varya."
As for my accent, now that we are here on the stage in Moscow, I must, of course, speak, enunciate properly, don't you think, dear?
Yeah, I think in response to that, she'll just hand you another glass as well. And just say, like, and something along the lines of enough talk about the theater. We're here to enjoy ourselves, that sort of thing.
How do we enjoy ourselves if we don't talk about the theater?
Not this theater, but theater in general. Not our theater. Huh?
I really want to see Timofey Petrovich. I don't think we can get out of this without seeing Timofey Petrovich.
So I think that's definitely a thing. But I think that the first time that we lay eyes on Timofey, it should be outside the restaurant where Natalie and Victor have just finished up their conversation about, who should be the leading lady. And Timofey and his entourage kind of rolls up. And there's that, moment where Tolya and Timosha, lock eyes. And we establish, do the rivalry establishment.
Well, also I think Tolya took him out. Tolya had an inkling of Varya's intentions, and as soon as you get outside, Tolya begins complimenting you, Victor, on your grace and intelligence and wit, and not inviting every overrated artist in Moscow to this event. In Petersburg, everything is just whatever's in fashion, and everybody has to, and that awful bore, Timofey Petrovich, that Yashvin.
Oh, you think you do not hold a kind opinion for Mr. Yashvin's art? That is a rather complicated situation, as he is doing some of the set design for an upcoming production.
Well, that doesn't really require a lot of, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you in an awkward spot.
Well, I mean, it's not awkward for me, but we had also commissioned him to do An Orchard in Winter.
I suppose as long as he takes direction well.
Oh, I see. Have you not met him?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, then you know that you tell lies, sir.
And never in a professional capacity. So, I'm sure the director or producer can work with him extensively on the painting of the set, of course.
Yes, of course. If that is what you desire, my dear Tolya, then of course your paths shall cross. And then that's the moment, where Tolya or where Timosha and his entourage comes around the corner. It's the thing is over the shoulder, fade out, and then you just does the zoom in, and here is Timofey surrounded by 4 or 5 sycophants who are probably lapping at this whole thing and carousing and having a good time.
Timofey Petrovich, imagine running into you here.
Anatoly Ruslanovich, it has been rather a long time, my friend.
A moment, has it not?
Yes. Certainly, I have not laid eyes on you since I returned from Paris, which I find to be quite surprising.
Honest employment does me well. I'm trying to look very interested in my cigarette.
And I think that
Where are you going tonight?
I think that actually like Timofey, you're like lighting your cigarette basically, and then without even asking, like Timofey leans in and lights his cigarette from the match that you're using to light yours, so that you're like very close together, and like pulls back, takes a drag, and like blows the smoke up towards the sign and says, "It seems we are dining at the Orange Cat tonight."
Oh, how fascinating! Because we were just having a small event at the Orange Cat for the theater.
What a coincidence. That's why I'm here tonight.
I turn around and give Victor a look.
Victor has already
Hopefully,
hightailed it right back into the restaurant.
well, no one told me you were coming.
Oh, I don't believe I was on the guest list. It was really more of a if I could thing. I had an opening across town this evening, but I wanted to stop by.
Well, I know you're very busy, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your being here.
It's very nice to hear you say that, Tolya. Using the familiar.
How was Paris?
It was extravagant in all of the ways that Paris is, and then quickly became boring in all of the ways that Paris does. It's nothing quite like Moscow, don't you agree?
No, there's nothing quite like Moscow. Tima, I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep you outside away from the event. I just wanted to finish this cigarette before returning.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine to keep you company. And he like just kind of like leans up against the back of the building, or like the side of the building beside you, and like does that thing where like casts you a glance and then stares back out onto the street and says, "I have not heard from you in quite a while. How are things with your father?"
My father is, well, I assume he was in Istanbul and then was going to spend some time in the Crimea and then be back here. But his schedule is always, so unpredictable.
Hmm. And you always so dismissive of your father's unpredictability.
I
My dear, you should travel more. I think that you would enjoy Rome. Perhaps we should go sometime.
I have enjoyed Rome before. I like Florence better.
Well, then perhaps you could show me around Florence, because I have not been.
I thought surely if anyone had ever completed the Grand Tour, it would be you.
Sadly, there was a bit of a situation, and alas, Florence fell off of my itinerary.
Well, perhaps. I understand you will be painting one of my shows.
Yes, I believe it's called the Orchard in Winter.
Yes.
You really should come by the gallery and see my newest show. I'd love to hear what you think about it and work on some ideas about how we could merge our creative energies for your new production.
Well, it would, I am certain that I will have to stop by the gallery at some point. After all, I hear your work is all the rage right now.
Well, yes, I suppose some people say that, but I'd much rather hear what you have to think about it than what some faceless critic says in a magazine.
Well, certainly, would love to. I would definitely love to. Well, I suppose it's time for us to go in.
He like looks down at his cigarette, which he's been like purposefully not actually smoking to the full extent. But then like sees that you're done and like, takes a long drag and flicks it into the street and without even like saying anything, just kind of walks into the restaurant without you.
Is your entourage in following?
Oh, they went inside. It was just the two of us all along.
Oh.
Yeah, I waved them off.
Yeah, I follow with a sort of frustrated dejection.
I think.
Can I ask? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go for it.
Yeah, I actually, it doesn't have to be right now, but I did want to, before we wrap up, have Alina talk to Tolya. I thought this would be the moment, but if anyone else has other plans, I'm.
Oh yeah, this would be a perfect moment to intercept him as
actually.
Making.
What
Sorry.
about you, Dad?
So just before that scene, could I want to spend my monologue token to like get the skinny from Tolya about like what just went down, like soliloquy me about like what our rivalry means to you and how I'm completely nonchalant about like whatever apparent ill will you have towards me. Alternately, you could say it to me before I left. Like that, I think that's your choice because I want to. We're using a slightly different mechanic, so I want to see like how that choice goes.
I don't think I'm quite sure he would say it out loud to you yet.
He would or he wouldn't. Sorry.
He would not. Sorry.
Cool. Soliloquy it is.
So I think he's been like lingering with his cigarette before dropping it. I think he takes one last puff and stamps it out. And then he sort of just turns around and is 24. 24. And the darling, the Russian swear word darling, returned from Paris. Of course he did. There was a situation. You should travel more. I was living in Paris with my parents when you were 6. And now you just flaunt your way on in here with that dark hair and that narrow jaw and that chin looking so goddamned Russian, it's absurd. Like halfway a tragic war aristocrat and halfway the athletic, innocent farmhand. Just with that bearing and demeanor and that dark hair and those eyes. And not one review, Tima, 6 in the last month, glowing with praise. They're eating out of your hands. 24. And I think that's when he just stops.
If it's okay, then this is when, like, I think right before he comes in, Alina like comes out of the restaurant and sees. I don't know. Do you look outwardly annoyed at life?
Yes, I think I look outwardly frustrated, but I don't think Alina's probably seen me look like I've just finished performing a tragedy. I think I'm dropping my cigarette just as and stomping it out just as you come out.
Anatoly Ruslanovich. I wasn't interrupting anything, was I?
Alina. No. No. I did not know that Timofey Petrovich was coming, and just ran into him and had a lovely conversation. Or that he was going to be working on The Orchard in Winter.
Ah, yes. Well,
Victor's idea?
well, in part, yes. Well, a good percentage of it, yes. It made some sense. He is, after all, making his splash.
He is quite renowned of late.
Yes, he is. He's attracting, I suppose, what Victor would have called the right kind of attention. So I knew of the latter, but I did not know of the former.
Wait. You did not know he was coming? Oh, that's right. He
No.
said he had an opening and might not make it. That's. Of course, I was delighted to see Timo. I remember him when he was small.
Well, I'm sure he is the delight that he's always been. I believe he's regaling the cast and crew of stories of Florence or Venice or some such at the moment.
He's never been to Florence.
Well, I never have either, so I only have your word for it.
Alina, you've never been to Florence?
No, I've not had the chance. Our family, well, we do not have the most privileged of upbringing. In fact, the theater is probably the only thing with our name on it that's accrued some worth. If you do not mind the self-deprecation. I think, like, just to look away, she, like, takes out a cigarette and starts, like, lighting it as well.
Well, of course, your theater is well regarded among those who are in the know.
I'm glad to be able to host you.
I am very glad to be hosted. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's. Oh, is that out of character? Sorry.
Yeah, both.
Okay. No, I'm glad to hear that. My brother can be pompous with his words, but he often brings a certain feeling to them. And, well, you've met some of our most zealous members of the troupe. I hope.
Varya.
Yes, Varya
That is
Pavlovna.
a woman of unique talent and presence.
She is determined to make it.
The determination comes through in so much.
I suppose she's rare in the sense that her determination makes it hard for others to gainsay her. I hope you found her pleasant.
Alina, may I be completely honest with you?
Of course.
Varya Pavlovna is the kind of performer. Varya Pavlovna is the kind of performer of vision that I wish in my time as an actor I had been, and in my time as a playwright I want to write for.
Anatoly Rusinovich, I dare say, have you found yourself a muse?
A muse? Perhaps a muse? Perhaps? I would not necessarily use that word. But I think that Varvara Pavlovna is the kind of woman we do not see much on the Moscow stage. She is nothing like other actresses that I have had an opportunity to watch for or write for. I mean, I've not had an opportunity to write for many actresses, but you do not watch women like that. I am grateful for the opportunity to do so. If you can convince Victor to, or perhaps I can convince Victor.
Well, I'm certainly glad that there's someone in our troupe who can inspire you.
Your
as much
entire
as we
troupe
have.
is inspiring, and your trust in me, it is refreshing.
Well,
But I keep feeling like you have more to say.
she has a lot more to say. I think she takes like a puff and there's no need to concern yourself with what I have to say, Anatoly Ruslanovic. My main concern is to ensure that you do not have to feel that your trust needs to be repaid. Rest assured that we will do our best to see your vision wrought out for all of Moscow to see. What I have to say, well, it can only be in service to that. I think she's looking away at this kind of moment. She's looking
Is
at
it presumptuous
Moscow.
of me to call you Alina?
Well, if you must, then by exchange, mayhaps I call you Tolya.
Of course. Alina, Victor has many charms, but artistic direction is not among them. We know who is the person of great vision behind the company. I hope that I am part of bringing the vision of your season together.
I think she looks towards Tolya. And I think not to put so much pressure on you, Tolya, but in many ways our vision does rest upon yours.
Then I will do everything I can to do justice to the artistic direction of the company. It is an honor to work with you, Alina.
Sorry, I'm losing my words for a moment here. We have the honor to have you, Tolya. Now, shall we brave the well, from your word, fraudulent tales of young Timofey in there?
I would never deprive any audience of the spectacle in front of them. But after all, what is theater besides spectacle at its most primitive form? But yes, let's return and perhaps I can give your brother some convincing arguments.
Oh yeah, I still have your
that will
handkerchief, right?
allow him to see it. Yes, you do.
Yes. Sorry, I interrupted you again. I just had a thought
You
in my
do
head.
still have my handkerchief, so.
um, let's see. Who do I want to see Alina give Tolya back his handkerchief? Which person should see that? Because I'm giving them a token. Not that I mean we're. Yeah, I know like tokens reset, but I might as well use them. I think sorry, Richard, interrupt you in the middle of the thought there. What was the last thing?
I was about to spend a token.
What are we going to spend it on?
But you tell me, finish what you're doing, because that may affect what I do.
Yeah, I think like there's like a moment where I think Alina like is opening the doors, but the doors are open as they're swinging goes. Alina's like, oh, well, we have this moment of privacy, and she takes out the handkerchief and gives it to you. It's like, thank you for the.
It has been my pleasure. Now, I am going to go start buttering up your brother.
Best of luck.
And I think somebody is getting up from Victor's. I'm going to spend my token to Victor, because somebody I think is getting up from Victor's side, and I'm going to slide in to sort of engage Victor in conversation about my vision for who's performing what where.
And I guess I'm giving my token to Varya to see that the handkerchief exchange.
I mean, it's an honor.
Because I give you a very meaningful smile back that probably I mean very differently than Varya's interpreting or you're interpreting too.
So Timofey wants to see Varya for a second.
I think this is happening concurrently with what's happening outside. So I think that I like slide into Alina's vacated chair, so it's like right next to you, and I, just kind of like sit back and I look at you and consider you for a moment. And I say, "Bonsoir, Mademoiselle Marazova."
Enchanté, monsieur. Timofey Petrovich, I was just speaking about you.
Oh, all good things, I hope.
I think so. Alina Grigorievna and I were thinking of taking some sort of picnic or stroll this Saturday. And we thought you would be a perfect, shall we say, chaperone for that.
Well, I don't know how well I do in the role of chaperone, but I never say no to an invitation to a picnic.
Well, how charming. I'm sure we will have much to talk about. I have to say, I found the notices of your latest showing to be, well, they were entertaining. And certainly you've managed to befuddle all the press of Moscow.
Befuddle? Oh, I dare say that's not a word I've heard used to describe my newest piece, but I shall choose to take it as a compliment.
I merely meant that they did not know what to make of it.
Well, perhaps you'll be able to make sense from what all of those old dullards were not able to understand.
I confess that I sometimes find the visual arts, I don't know, I mean, I've seen paintings, they all make sense to me, but I lack perhaps the education to understand what I'm seeing in a way that, I have think that most of the educated people I know just pretend. They say things and mutter to themselves about brush strokes and chiaroscuro, and I merely lack the pretense to fool myself into thinking I know what all those words mean.
I'll let you in on a secret. I think that you're exactly correct. They all have the words for it, but they don't truly speak the language. And if you don't speak the language of art, that's fine, because honestly, I've seen you perform, and I think that the theater is truly the language you speak. After all, I saw A Happy Proposal last season, and though your part was small, I couldn't tear my eyes away from you.
One of the educations that I've had to receive as a stage actress is to accept compliments. Thank you, monsieur. It was a very small part, indeed. I was up for a slightly larger part, but I won't bore you with backstage politics. I'm sure you have your correlate in the world of gallery showings.
Yes, and I'm sure it is equally as boring on one side or the other, except when it involves you, in which case it becomes a battle for life or death.
Perhaps the ancients are wrong. Tragedy does not require a noble protagonist, merely one that you can identify with.
That sounds very much like the way I approach my paintings.
Well, I'd be very interested to learn more of your paintings. They seem so scandalous, and yet the few I've seen that I've been allowed to see, since you do seem to manage to find yourself certain very interested and exclusive buyers. They merely struck me as beautiful in their own way. I mean, obviously, with a touch of the grotesque.
Perhaps it would help you to understand my art a bit more if you were a bit closer to it. Please, I ask, would you allow me to paint you at some point?
Monsieur Yashin, that's an extraordinarily direct request. You barely know me. I have never posed for an artist. I was fortunate enough never to have needed that money, nor, to be truly honest, had I found any artist particularly enamored of my frame that they would wish to paint it.
Oh, please do not mistake me, mademoiselle. I did not mean to imply that you were some chorus girl who could stand in for anyone. I mean to capture what I see as a unique fire within a rising talent.
I see. You aim to make me the new Victorine Miron? Are you to be my Manet? Do you have in mind an Olympia? I'm not so certain I am prepared to pose nude for anybody.
Well, like many things, art is a negotiation, and all I need is the opportunity to negotiate. I'm sure that we could come to some sort of agreement that could realize a truly beatific vision.
Beautiful, but not beatific, eh?
Well, I mean, we still have yet to begin.
Very well. Let us talk about this some more.
And I think that that's the moment where I like swing around and I'm like, waiter. And then that's the moment where we both turn, and that's when you see like Alina and Tolya with like the handkerchief.
Yup. I don't know if I have any comeback for that right now.
Yeah. I'm just laying the track.
No, please go ahead, Mr. Trugor. Okay. If you don't mind, let's try and get a little bit done. I already grabbed a couple of reputation tags because I believe I earned one of each because I was direct. But now I seem to be somebody's protege. Until that scene, I didn't realize that I had multiple possibilities in that score, but it all works out.
Oh wait! Oh god! Yeah, the other one is. This gonna be. Oh wow! Rivals are good. Sorry, just realizing two people and Varya and oh Jesus Christ! Oh Jesus! Oh Jesus!
It's all good, man.
I promised I was going to try to work my way through the whole cast. It's going to be
have
like
one more.
It's going to be a love octagon by the end of this.
There for it. So, because it's fresh in our head, I thought we might do some questions and secrets. I'm going to tell you what Varya's secret is. And Varya's secret is she actually wants to be a playwright, not so much an actress. So she wants to be an actress too, but she's actually trying to be a writer. As for a question, I think definitely will Varya play Olga?
I just remembered I was gonna come in after we had that break with a secret, but then I spent a resolve token to spill that secret right at the very start.
It could still be a secret if we don't know it. What did you spend?
Oh, the one about Alina was the one who pushed to hire Tolya, but Victor. Oh, dear Victor.
Oh, okay.
Dear silly Victor. Love him.
Ooh.
Oh,
These are juicy.
For the camera, Timofey has not been able to paint in months. Is his secret.
Ooh la la.
I think maybe something along the lines of like Alina has dedicated too much of has given this production too large of a budget, or like has, I don't know, she did not balance the books. Or
Yeah, maybe it's like the theater is in a lot of debt, and Alina's hidden. Alina's hiding how much debt the theater is in. Something like that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah, my idea for questions is they're probably going to cycle pretty regularly. Like we'll set scenes around them and then resolve them and come up with new questions each time. So.
Timothy's question.
Will Timofey be able to create the backdrops for Orchard in Winter while courting everyone?
Probably.
Doesn't seem hard for him.
But he hasn't
been able to paint.
That's right. Oh dear.
Ooh.
Love interest and a ticking clock. It's all I need for drama.
So will Tolya convince Victor to cast Orchard in Winter as he chooses? No, man. Victor's got 4 bloody resolve tokens right now, so that's actually a question I did not resolve in my hack. Do connection resolve tokens persist between sessions? My off-the-cuff ruling is they do, because they're connections, man.
they've got no other way to get them.
Yeah, there's such a hard time of it.
I was thinking of like just putting in the question of that is part of Alina's desire, which is, will Alina tell Tolya that she's in love with him? I was thinking that maybe when he was talking about, having been an actor before, she had seen him as an actor. Way, way back. I might just do that.
If you can't come up with a secret right off the top of your head, Richard, you can fill it in between sessions.
No, it's partially I'm trying to
word it right.
Yeah. Daryl, negate this or ask for clarification if you'd prefer something like. But I think the secret is that Tolya used to really like Timofey back before you became famous.
Like.
I think you were I think at the time that he'd not really formulated that, because you were 18 and he was 22, which is a huge gap, whereas 24, 28, less huge gap.
Mm-hmm. I'm also totally fine.
Also 12, 16, huge gap. But also I remember Timofey being delightful and a great joy to spend time around.
And I'm also totally fine with the fact that maybe there was actually kind of you were starting to be moderately successful, so that whole dynamic was completely different. Like maybe there was almost like a, I looked up, oh my God, no, I looked up to you. And that's why I decided to become like a famous painter, was because I wanted to impress you.
Aww. That's...
I mean, we don't have to be as creepy, but it could totally be a complete Death in Venice thing. Like, you know, totally just saw Timothy and like, that was it. Full blown crush.
I think it's more that like I was very fond of you in this sort of like bohemian inclusive look at this wonderful person who I've known since he was a child, and now he's a young person now, and like, you know, he's 4 years younger, which is huge. Just
And
so
now he's
young.
a fucking sellout, man.
And then all of a sudden he got famous, just as like I sort of peaked and became less famous.
It used to be about the art and dying of consumption.
It used to be about me being famous.
Yes, that is the best part. Okay. Well, so we filled all of this in. We got halfway far. We'll have an epistolary chapter, which we could use to catch everybody up and introduce Serafina next time. We're off to a roaring good start. We're theater people this time, huh? Oh, God help us all. So, all right. This was lovely. It's such a pleasure to see you all again and be doing this again. And like I said, next one up is going to be, it's going to be Dr. Zhivago. So that'll be fun. Until next time, I'm so happy to see all of you again. And do svidaniya. Please stay safe. Be careful out there, folks.
Let's just admit that I'm the Cary Grant of Freeform, and I have a character I play. So the imminence or the frustrated both sort of appeal to me.
Yep.
Leandro, unless one of those jumps out at you.
Actually, I was looking at the martyr, so you're all good.
So everyone's just playing to type. It's great.
Yeah, look.
Look, I was going to see
year.
if maybe Leandro and I could have a happy relationship this time, but clearly no.
I'm not saying that when I was working on the Martyr, I'm not going, this is the Leandro character. But
I didn't know which one I wanted to ask. Was like, nah, I'm gonna like pick and see, and turns out.
Out of character, is that one of my works?
yes.
Okay. There's so many I just can't recognize.
No, I'm just riffing here.
We're using the word love kind of loosely.
Yeah, no kidding.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. And that mean I took charming and manipulative. Two things which I definitely think I embodied.
Come on, Tolya, what's your secret?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
I mean, I would say Tolya is gay, but I don't really think
That's not a secret with any of my characters, Kat.
Yes, we all remember
Tolya,
the time you tried
like
to play a
all of
slave
Richard's-
dude.
Like all of Richard's characters are gay.
We remember what happened when you tried to play the straight dude.
Everyone ignored it. The
We-
plot
yeah.
went on without it.
Oh yeah.
We threw you at Shura and missed.
Oh yeah, that was like. Oh yeah, I had to lie down because of what happened afterwards.
To be fair, few people can stand up to the pure 100,000 watt Serafina.
Oh,
You should
don't
see
worry,
it.
it is.
You should see it in person, my friend. Change your life.
Mm.
I also forget that you guys can't see what I'm typing.
Yes, it's opaque to us, like Tolya's heart.
Bitterness is a transparent emotion.